Hello and welcome to Mountain Patriot Homestead. We are in the kitchen. I've got my apron on, so let's get cooking. Well, it is full swing for the holidays and everybody is fixing up that fudge and peanut brittle, which we're going to be doing some of, but not today. Today we're going to be doing a recipe that's a little bit different, but it's far from being new. Because this, as far as I can tell, this recipe originated back possibly in the 1700s, if not earlier, and it began with a very simple, very humble ingredient called buttermilk. Now don't turn off the video, okay? Because I know some of you hear buttermilk and you instantly go, oh. Buttermilk in this recipe is going to provide the acidity that it is going to need to make these cookies light, soft, fluffy, and delicious. And no, they're not going to taste like a cup of buttermilk, okay? So just bear me out, okay? Back in whenever this was created, like I said, the earliest I can tell was somewhere between the 17 and 1800s. Churning butter left the byproduct, as it does today, of buttermilk. Now, as I said, buttermilk has acidity in it, and when you put that acidity with an ingredient like baking soda, it causes it to expand, rise, and makes baked goods very wonderful. That's why buttermilk pancakes and biscuits and cornbread and all of those sort of things are so light, fluffy, and wonderful. So that's what we're going to be doing with our buttermilk today, is we're going to be making cookies. Now, not just any old cookies. These are going to be frosted cookies. So if you're still with me, let's get started. If you've watched my cooking videos before, you've noticed that my recipes don't contain a bunch of very intricate ingredients that are difficult to find. Most of the time it's stuff that we have in our kitchens or very easy to find when we go to the grocery store. I will leave the fancy recipes to the chefs because they know what they're doing. I'm going to stick with the easy stuff. So it's not going to get much easier than this, which is just going to begin with 1 cup or 2 sticks of room temperature butter. Now, depending on how cool your room is, will depend on how soft this butter is. As you can see, it is semi-soft, not melted, but soft enough to get us where we're going. So that is just 1 cup of room temperature butter, and to that I am going to cream 2 cups of white granulated sugar. Once that butter and sugar's creamed together, I'm adding 2 room temperature eggs and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And that looks like sunshine in a bowl. Now here I have 4 cups of just all-purpose flour, but I'm not going to put all 4 of them in there at one time. I'm only going to put 2 cups first, and to that I'm adding 2 teaspoons of baking soda and a half teaspoon of just salt. just regular salt. Scrape the sides of the bowl. And yes, it got dusty in here for a minute because flour kind of does that, especially in my kitchen. That was the last 2 cups of flour, and to this I'm going to add about half of the buttermilk. Now this buttermilk, I've got 1 cup of buttermilk, and this buttermilk has come to room temperature. That's why it looks a little thicker than if it was just out of the refrigerator. But just use about half of it. And yes, here goes the dust storm again. Scrape down the side of that again. And there goes in the rest of that buttermilk. So in total that was 1 cup of buttermilk. Scrape off my spatula here and see if I can get that last bit of buttermilk mixed up in there. And the last step before we bake is the most difficult, and that is wrapping it up and putting it in the fridge and waiting, because this has to chill. It can chill anywhere from 1 to 24 hours. I'm betting we go closer to 1, but you can, if you've got other things going on this time of year, you can give this up to 24 hours before you stick it in the oven. So let's get to chilling. Well, when we started all of this, it was still daylight outside, and it is now dark. This dough has been sitting for, maybe 3 hours or so, and you don't have to do it that long, but again, like I said earlier, you can do it from you can do it for an hour up to 24 hours. Now, what if you go 25? Is the world going to come to an end? No, I don't think so. So, I am just, this is normally works easier than what I'm doing here, but it's like I tell you on other videos. This is real life. This is live. This is not Memorex. So I'm just going to use a spoon here to kind of help me get them out here. Now, what size do you need to make these? I don't care. Whatever size you want to make these. If you make them according to the recipe, it should make up to 60 cookies. Now, it does not say in my recipe how big those cookies are. I mean, they could be the size of a vanilla wafer. I don't think they're going to be very big, or they're probably not going to make that big of a batch, but I may end up with just a spoon dipping them out of here before long. But normally my little scoop here. Gives me at least a starting point on size. And you can use parchment paper on the bottom of your baking sheet if you want to. I've got these little old mats, and I sure do like them. I'd never had any before until a few years ago, and got me one, and then got me another, and then just liked them swell. I've got just a whole little herd of them now, but I sure do like them because no matter how wore out your old baking pan is, it still makes your baked goods look just like your sheets were brand new. So, and things don't stick. That's the main point. Okay, I have got the oven preheating to 350 degrees, and each batch, once that oven gets warm enough, each batch will stay in the oven between 8 and 10 minutes because I want them to just get a little light golden brown around the edges and starting to get set. I'm just over here, you can't see real good what I'm doing, but I'm just over here piddling and trying to make these look a little bit better. Trying to give a little space in between them because they will spread. See, some's just a hair bigger than others are, but you know what? That's okay, because they're gonna taste okay. You know, some people, they get in the kitchen, and if things don't go just, if everything ain't perfect, well, see, like that, watch this. I'm gonna use my finger. There we go. If things ain't just perfect, they just beside themselves. Now, can I do that? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend that I don't, but, you know, there's something, you got to pick your battles, and sometimes things are going to look beautiful, and sometimes you just got to remember they're only cookies. They're going to be eat, and they're going to be fine. So now I'm just waiting on that oven to get to 350, and I'll get the first batch started. When this batch is done, I'll put them on a cooling rack and get the next one started. And we're just gonna keep going with that until we get this whole batch finished, and then we'll start with the next step, which is not eating, not quite yet. So hold on. Alright, the first batch of cookies are done, and I am just taking them off of the baking sheet over here. I'll let them cool on it for just a second, because now if you take them off when they're just out of the oven, they're really soft and they're going to tear all to pieces. Alright, I have got my first batch of cookies off of my cookie sheet. And you can see they did spread out some, and yeah, they are not picture perfect, but I'm not done with them yet because we've still got another step to do before we finish up, but I've still got a lot of dough to get in the oven, so excuse me, I'm going to go take care of that, and then we'll be back to finish the last step. So here we are at the last step, and here's my secret weapon. I'm going to use some store-bought peppermint frosting. Yes, of course, I could have made homemade, which in my opinion would be better, but again, this is what I have, and I love peppermint, and I saw this, so I grabbed some up and just thought that I would use it for, I don't know, cake or something over the holidays. But when I made up these cookies, it's like, well, this would be kind of perfect for that. So I am just stirring it up here a little bit. You can also whip it up if you're gonna, especially if you're gonna be putting it on a cake. If you just put it in a bowl and whip it, it'll make it so much lighter and easier to spread. But I'm just going to kind of stir this a little bit and then use my offset spatula thing to spread them around on top of the cookies to decorate them. And, you know, just kind of make these rough looking little cookies look a little prettier. I don't really care if they're that pretty, but, you know, somebody might. So I'm just going to try to make them look a little better since it is the holidays. And why stop there when you've got sprinkles? Use them. All right, here is just that simple buttermilk cookie. Now, my husband ate one and I wasn't able to catch him on film eating it because he was headed to go do something else, but he said, don't frost them, because he loves sugar cookies and he doesn't care for frosting even on cake. So I frosted one. Let's just give you an idea of what you can do. You can make your own buttercream frosting, make your own royal icing, pretty them up if you want to, do whatever you want to make them look nice, or, you know, just feed them to your family or friends or whomever and just enjoy them. But I'm gonna try. I've never had that peppermint frosting out of a can before, so I thought I'm gonna give it a try. So let's see. Be right back. Okay, that was another batch getting ready. So I got it out of the oven and I'm fixing to put another batch in there because I think this is gonna make a lot of cookies. So if you've got something happening and you need a lot of cookies, especially even if you make them smaller, this looks like it's going to make a lot of cookies. But okay, I took a bite of the frosted one, and I'm just going to be honest with you. I love peppermint. I'm a peppermint fan. I drink peppermint coffee. I probably use a lot more peppermint than I ever thought about using pumpkin spice. I love peppermint. However, I don't like this, and I'm not trying to knock them, you know, because somebody may really, this may be your favorite frosting, I don't know, but I don't like it. And I'll tell you why. It tastes like medicine. It has like a medicine taste. It doesn't even have like a mini toothpaste, like mint toothpaste. Doesn't even have that flavor. It tastes like medicine, and I'm glad he caught me about frosting them, because that one will, you know, that one will go away. And so I'm just gonna try just a plain one like he had and see what I think. Now these are good. These are really good. I'm thinking lemon extract in place of the vanilla. Give it a lemon flavor. Coming back with, even if you went with lemon icing, homemade lemon icing, that would be really good. But just as a regular cookie, I mean, if you wanted to sprinkle, you know, the little colored sugar on top of it in place of sugar cookies, perfect substitute. Those are good. I like these. I do not like that. And it had nothing to do with the cookie. It's purely the frosting. So I like being honest with y'all because, yeah, no, that's not going to work. This will. I've got a lot more to make, so I am glad y'all came by. I hope you come by again real soon, and I love y'all. Hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. Talk to you again real soon. Mountain Patriot Homestead, signing out.